All right, so this is Parshas Bechukosai. So, we have to talk about the Parsha a little bit. We have to also start preparing ourselves for Shavuos, right? Shavuos is coming. So in this week's Parsha we have what's called the brachas and kolos, blessings and curses, right? It's a little bit of a harsh Parsha. We'll have to try to sweeten it a little bit. The Parsha talks about, it starts like this: if you go with my laws, says Hashem, and you keep my mitzvahs, and you keep them and you do them. So, I'll give you rain, I'll give you peace, I'll give you happiness, health, all good things. Then the Torah says, and if God forbid the opposite, if God forbid the Jewish people reject Yiddishkeit, and so then the opposite of rain, the opposite of happiness, the opposite of health, everything else comes. Blessings and curses. All right, so there's a number of questions that we have to deal with. First of all, one major question is that if I were to ask any religious Jew out there, what is the reward for mitzvahs? Like what is Hashem going to do for us, as a result of us keeping Torah mitzvahs and being good boys and girls? Well, the answer is Olam Haba, right? The next world, right? Mashiach, right? Olam Haba, the resurrection of the dead. I mean, that's spiritual reward, right? That's what we think of. And it's interesting, the Torah doesn't talk about spiritual reward. All the Torah seems to talk about is physical reward, rain and peace and so on and so forth. You have every once in a while, you'll have a hint, a zecher, something talking about Mashiach, talking about Olam Haba, the next world, eternal life, something like that, the world of the soul, a hint here and there. But in terms of open, explicit, like really fleshed out concepts of reward, which is our parsha, it's only talking matters of this world. So the question is, why the silence in terms of the reward of the next in the next world? That's the question. All right, that's number one. Number two, and more specific, the opening words are "Im bechukosai telecha," if you go with my laws, if you keep the Torah. It says a very interesting Gemara in Avodah Zarah. The Gemara says like this: Tana Rabbanan in Avodah Zarah Daf Hey Amud Aleph. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught "Im bechukosai telecha." Those words, if you go in my laws. So say Chazal, "Ein im el lashon tachnuna." When Hashem says, if you go with my laws, so again, the simple reading is, Hashem's giving us a stipulation, as if you keep Torah mitzvahs, then I'll give you rain, right? And so on and so forth. But the Gemara says, interesting, the word im, which simply translates as if, like if you keep my laws, ein im el lashon tachnunim. Im, the word im doesn't just mean if, a condition, it also means please, I beg of you. Ein im el lashon tachnunim. Hashem is asking us, please keep my Torah. Please keep my Torah. And the Gemara goes psukim like this. Another pasuk where Hashem seems to be pleading with us and like asking us, like, do me a personal favor, please keep my Torah. It says in pasuk, Lu am ishmeli, if only you would listen to me. Like Hashem, like he's begging us, like, please, I do me a personal favor and listen to me. And he goes and say another pasuk, Lu hikshavtu mitzvosai, if only, like I beg of you, please listen to my mitzvahs, and so on and so forth. And so that's what the Gemara says. So this is interesting. Instead of the words im bechukosai telecha just being a stipulation, like a business transaction. You want rain? It's okay, fine. You want rain? Give me mitzvahs. The word im bechukosai telecha, the Gemara is reinterpreting it to mean a request, that Hashem is asking us as a personal favor for him, somehow that, like to make him, it's something that he wants of us, is pleased to keep my mitzvahs. So the question is, how do you make sense of that? What does it mean Hashem is asking us to do it for him? Like a personal favor? How do we make sense of that? Another detailed question, is when the Torah goes on to enumerate all the blessings and reward that we're going to get if we keep the Torah mitzvahs, they're all written in the following way. The first example, I guess, V'nasati gishmeichem v'itam, I will give you rain in its proper time. Now, the truth is, I just translated in the future, I will give you rain if you keep my mitzvahs. But the truth is, the literal translation, V'nasati, is really past tense. V'nasati, I have given you rain. Now the reason why it's translated in English as future tense is because there's a trick. The trick is that when a vav is the beginning of a word, a vav has an ability to change it from past into future. In Tiktok, that's the way it's called a vav hamishapech. That a vav, a letter vav, can change the tone of the word from being past into future. So the word nasati means to give in the past. I gave in the past. Vinasati in this context means I will give in the future. But here's the question: why play that game? Why write a word that means in the past, and just have a vav that flips it into the future. Say, etein gishmechem b'itam, I will give rain in the future. That's clearly a future tense, etein. Why nasati, which really is past, but vinasati changes it? Why make that effort? Just say straight, future. Make sense of all this. Okay, so let me share with you an idea. This is it might seem at first to be like somewhat philosophical and like, how is it relevant? But it's a game changer. There's somewhat of a stira, somewhat of a contradiction we find throughout Tanakh. How did Hashem create the world? What do I mean? So you have one verse, one pasuk says, Hashem b'chachma yasad aretz. That Hashem founded the world, He created the world b'chachma, with wisdom. That Hashem thought, and the world came to be. That's one approach. But then you have another verse that seems to say in other cases that af yadi yasta aretz, that my hands, says God, laid the foundation for the earth. That Hashem didn't think and the world came to be. He made the world with His hands, so to speak. Obviously nothing physical, we're talking about God. But on some level, there's something to do with hands. So which one is it? Did God make the world like we would make things with our hands? Or did God think and the world came into being? So here's the idea. If let's say I'm a human being and I want to build a house. So what do? Very simple process. I sit down and I think about what I want to build, right? And I have to get a clear idea in my head, a clear picture. So what am I imagining when I'm sitting down before I take in hammer and nails and do anything about it, right? I'm sitting and thinking, what am I imagining? Well, what I'm imagining is the house built. More than that, I'm imagining everything shining and beautiful. I'm imagining more than that. I'm imagining like having the first barbecue in the backyard. I'm imagining all the kids running around the backyard, everyone's happy and everything's great, right? That's what I'm imagining. And then I say, you know what, that's such a beautiful picture. I want that. So what do? So now I get to work. I take a hammer and nails, call people, and so on and so forth. Now what's interesting is that once I get out of the daydream, you know what I mean? I start building. What happens to the daydream? Well, nothing goes away. I mean, it was just a figment of my imagination. It was motivation to get me working, but it was nothing real, right? It's just in my mind. And then when I actually start working, does the process of actually building the home always match up with the beautiful, picturesque vision? At the end, I hope it does. Right? But along the way, it's not like when I'm sitting down imagining the house, I'm not thinking about the workers going on strike. I'm not thinking about, the contractor says it costs this amount, really it's double. I'm not imagining those things along the way, although those things happen along the way, right? And so very often there's a disconnect between the image that you have in your head and the process by which you get there, right? That's with a human being. The Rabbanu Shalom also, so to speak, on his level, nothing we could really understand in truth. But the Rabbanu Shalom also went through the same process. The Rabbanu Shalom sits back in his chair, so to speak, before everything and says, what do I want? What do I want? You know what the Rabbanu Shalom thought of? The Rabbanu Shalom saw and imagined a world that's perfect. He thought of each and every one of us in a perfect state. He thought of each and every one of us as the people that we're going to become, the people that we can become. He saw the world in a perfected state. He saw that first backyard barbecue and the kids running around in the porch and everyone's happy. That's what he thought. And then the Rebbe Shalom says, wow, that's such a beautiful picture. Let's get started. And then he starts making the world. Let there be light and let there be, everything, the whole world, the whole process. But here's the difference between the human being and God. When it comes to human being, once you stop imagining and you pick up the hammer and nails, what happens to the image in your brain? Goes away. Nothing. It was never real. The difference between us and God is everything that God thinks also becomes a reality. Which means the following idea. That each and every one of us, there are two stages to our creation. The first initial stage of our creation, us as individuals, was who we are in that perfected state, who we are in the imagination of the Rabbanu Shalom, who we are when the Rabbanu Shalom imagined who we are eventually going to become. That established, that was an actual creative process. It wasn't just a figment of his imagination that goes away for motivational purposes. That was real. And then the Rabbanu Shalom says, okay, well that's who you are. That's your future self. That's the essence of who you are. Now, let's get started. in reality down here on planet Earth, and let's get there. Which means the following idea is that before each and every one of us was actually born in this physical planet, before each and every one of us, our neshama came to the world, it was already set. It was already predestined. It was already set aside who we're going to become, the madregas that we can reach, and the olam haba and all the pleasures and all the reward that we're going to have. It's already there. It's already there. The job of us in this world is to try to give us the ability to access that. I'll give you a mashal. This is something that we find in this farm, the following idea. Let's say you have a person who has a big company, right? Big company, very successful, a lot of employees. And he also has a son. Now, his son is getting a little older, maybe he's a teenager, whatever it is, and the father's getting older too. And the father's goal and his plan is to pass over the business to the son, that the son should take over the business. So what does he say to the son? He says, listen, I'll tell you the truth. I want the business to go to you. You're my only son. I want you to take over. But things like this, I got 50 employees that have been working with me for a long time. And for me just to hand the reins over to you out of nowhere, it's not so nice. It's not so nice. They're going to be upset. It's not so nice. So so do me a personal favor. I want you to have the company. The company is yours. It's coming to you. But do me a favor. Start in the mailroom. You work your way up. Just learn the ropes. Earn your keep. And then you'll get what's already coming to you. So the kid says, of course. So when the kid goes working in the mailroom, and again, working his way up the ladder of the company, he goes and he works with confidence and strength and a commitment. Why? Because he knows that ultimately it's only a matter of time until he becomes the person he's supposed to become, and the company's coming to him. It's his company. Listen, because he didn't put in the effort yet, and he doesn't really know the ropes and so on. So not only if the father would sort of just give him the keys to the car right away, other people would be upset, and even the kid within himself would feel like, what did I do to deserve this? And even the kid himself will sort of have those negative thoughts in the back of his mind of like, is it really mine? Who knows? So the father's like, listen, this is your company, it's coming to you. But I need you to quiet those complaints from the outside and the complaints from within. And so therefore, do me a favor, work in the company, work your way up, put in the effort, and then you'll get what's yours. Said the Rebbeinu Shalom to the Jewish people, before this whole program called Planet Earth, I already envisioned who you're going to be. And in my mind's eye, you're tzaddikim, you're holy Jews, you keep Torah mitzvahs, you love me, you love other people. It's unbelievable. And because of who you are and that part of you that was established, that was created by my thought and who I imagined you to be, because of that, you already have a portion of Olam Haba, and Mashiach is coming, and you don't have anything to worry about. But I'm asking you, if I were to just give you the keys to the company without you putting in any effort, this doesn't look so nice. It's not going to feel good for you, and it's not going to feel good for everyone else. So do me a favor, do me a personal favor. Try to keep my mitzvahs. Become the person that you're going to become. Work on yourself to the point of where you'll be able to access that gift that you already have. And so let's go back. One of the questions we asked was, what does it mean? Hashem is like asking us a personal favor. The answer is, what Hashem is saying is, it's already there. All this stuff is already there. The blessings, it's all good. It's all there. It's in your name. It's chaval for it to go to waste, to just sit there for all time and never to be accessed. So I'm asking you, please do me a favor, work your way up the mailroom. Work your way up to the point of where you'll be able to have the right and to look in the mirror and say, this is mine. And then Rabbi Moshe says, I'll give you what is already yours. This is also why the blessings are described, really words of the past that are converted into the future, right? V'nasati gishmeichem b'itam. Translated as, I will give you rain, but the words are really, I have given you rain. Well, the answer is because it's already there. Before you already came to the world, Hashem already saw you as the person that you will become and allotted your portion in Olam Haba and in Olam Haza accordingly. And all you're doing in life, all we're all doing in life is earning our keep. All we're doing in life is quieting those voices from without and from within that says, who are you that you should deserve, a connection with God? And so it's not so much that Yiddishkeit, therefore, is not so much seen as a process in which we actually gain a relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yiddishkeit Torah mitzvahs is seen as the process in which we make peace with that relationship that's already there. And Torah mitzvahs is there to give us the vessels in which to access the relationship that's already there, the eternity that's already there, the Olam Haba that's already there. You see, the reason why the Torah doesn't talk about Olam Haba and Mashiach, all it talks about is rain and things of this world. You know why? He says because ultimately, even if a person says, you know what, I don't want to work in the mailroom. I don't want to. I'm not going to do it. Finished. It's not mine. So Hashem says, you know what? So fine. In terms of the reward that I imagined for you in this world, if you don't go part of the program, it's not going to happen. But Hashem says, but you know what? But in terms of the next world, there's nothing you can do to get out of that. And no matter what you do in life, whether you opt out or opt in, that portion of the next world, Mashiach, Tchias HaMesim, it's coming no matter what. And even if a Jew says, I don't want to be part of the program, somehow by hook or by crook, the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to make it in such a way that he'll eventually get there in the next world. In this world, maybe not, but the next world certainly. Let me share with you a couple lines from one of the great Mekubalim of the 20th century, Reb Shlomo Elyashiv. He says like this: Hatikva Hasida, the ultimate future, the Kol Chamdas Yisrael, that all Jewish people are looking forward to. Shem Kol Hayudim Achreinim, all those events in the future, you might say Mashiach, Olam Haba. Hinehem Tluyim Be'emes Rak Bebris V'lei B'schus. It depends on what? On a covenant. It doesn't depend on merit. Mashiach doesn't depend on whether we deserve it or not. Olam Haba, each one of our portions in the next world and our eternity is not dependent on whether we deserve it or not. It's coming. It's coming. And that account in the bank, by hook or by crook, we're going to be given the account number for that. We're going to be given access to that. That's not questionable. What is up to us, whether we're able to access that account in this world, that's up to us. That's up to us. So the account is there, the blessings are all there. The question is, can we draw those blessings down into our lives right now? That's up to us. But even if we don't do that, it remains in the account. And the next world, we'll for sure get it. And so that's what's going on over here. The Rebbeinu Shalom is saying, I beg of you, please keep my mitzvahs. You know why? Because either way, you're getting it. But the problem, I would love it if you got it after silencing all the complaints. I would love for you to get the access to that account after you legitimize it to yourself. And you legitimize it to everyone around you. So please, do me a favor. If you don't, you're still going to get it. You're still going to get it. You might not get it in this world, but you'll get it in the next world for sure. Therefore, the Torah doesn't talk about Olam Haba and Mashiach and all that as if it's contingent on anything. It's not. The only thing that's contingent is, are we going to be able to access that level of relationship with God in a physical way down here in terms of parnasa and health and so on? That's up to us. But the root and source, the essence of what that is, it's good. That's who we are. That's not moving anywhere. This is what's going on in the parsha. So instead of seeing the parsha as like Hashem standing there and sort of like, if you get this, then you'll get reward. Holding sickness over our heads. As a threat. It's not like that at all. That's what the Gemara is changing it. It's in Bechukosai. Hashem is asking us, do me a personal favor, because I have all this stuff and it has your name on it. It has your name on it, and I wanted to give it, and I want to give it to you, and I will give it to you. But the Rebbeinu Shalom is saying, but please do something to make you to at least make you feel like you're earning it. Because otherwise, it's going to bother you, and it's going to bother everyone around you. And so, to legitimize it to yourself. There's a mice that they say. I think Rav Nachman Breslover. It was one of his mishon that he said. He said there was once a Jew who maybe I mentioned this once before. I don't remember. There was once a Jew. He was from a certain shtetl, and he was very poor. Didn't have much to his name, And he kept on having this recurring dream. He had this recurring dream that he was standing in the middle of Paris, by a particular bridge in Paris, and he was digging. That's part of his dream. He's digging in this particular part of the bridge, and he digs up a buried treasure. And then he opens the treasure, it's all gold and silver, and then he wakes up. He had this recurring dream constantly. And he told his wife, you know what? Parnas it's not working over here in Poland. Let's give it a shot. Let me go to Paris. Maybe the dream will come true. That's why I was thinking in Michigan. Look for another job. You know what I mean? Okay, whatever. This is what he has in his head. That's what he does. So he saves up some money. He makes his trip to Paris, and he goes there. And lo and behold, he finds that bridge. He finds that bridge. It's the same bridge from his dream. And so he figures, okay, listen, that's quite a coincidence. So he figures, okay, tonight I'm going to wait till no one's watching. I'm going to go to that particular spot in my dream, and I'm going to start digging and see what happens. So he goes there, middle of the night, doesn't think anyone's watching, starts digging. Eventually, after a few minutes, he gets a tap on the shoulder, and a policeman is stopping him, like, hey, what are you doing? So he's like, this is going to sound crazy, I know, but I'm from, Vyshnypchek, whatever it is, some town in Poland. I'm not from here, but I had this recurring dream that in this exact spot, there's a buried treasure. And so I figured, why not? Let me give it a shot. So the police officer starts laughing at him. He said, what are you're ridiculous. You believe in dreams? I'll tell you a recurring dream I just had. I've been having a dream that there's that in this little town in Poland, he describes the town. The guy's thinking that's my town. And there's a little house in that shtetl, describes that's his house. Under the stove of that little broken hut, there's a buried treasure. You think I'm going to take my time, I'm going to travel to Poland to look for that ridiculous? It's a dream, doesn't matter. And the guy's like, thank you very much, right? He goes back home, starts digging under his own stove, and finds the buried treasure. That's what it is. Sometimes that's how life goes, you know what I mean? The Rebbeinu Shalom has to take you somewhere to discover what you already had under your stove. And that's the way it goes. That's what Olam Haba is. That's what Mashiach is. That's when a person goes to Yiddishkeit and becomes a greater person. You're not becoming a greater person. You're not becoming a greater person. You're realigning yourself with the greater person that was already imagined by the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's all. And you're accessing that. And you're bringing that person down to earth. That's all you're doing. So sometimes you have to go to Paris in order to find the treasure that's underneath yourself. That's the way it goes. So you put on tefillin, you keep Shabbos, you give tzedakah, and you're nice, and you help old ladies across the street. For what? Eventually, to discover who you already were. That's all it is. And the Rebbeinu was asking us, so I'm begging you, just be authentic. That's all, just be authentic. And the way to become authentic, the way to discover what you already have is in Bechukosai Teleichu. The Rebbeinu says, if you do that, then the rain that I already want to give you, I'm going to give you that. But it's already there. Nice. Hashem Shel, we should be zeicha to listen to these, to sort of, be Makayim the Hashem's wish, you know what I mean, and to allow ourselves to go through that process of earning the keep that we're already predestined for.
Thank you, Hashem.